All right. So here we go. It's time for another CC contest playthrough, and you'll see that I am joined by our dutiful contest director Q for this playthrough. Um, and we're gonna play Vermillion Range. Vermillion Range. For some reason, I was about to say Ranch. By mattf27. Um, I've not seen the course yet. I've certainly seen pictures, and I've caught a few random bits of design streams that Matt's done of this, but I've not played it. And the man himself is in the chat. Excellent. So we're gonna
Perfect.
play. We're gonna play Gold Tees Pin 1. We have turn order off, just so it doesn't take too long. But let's see what Matt's got for us. Yep. It's gonna it one person, you know, is not enough to get all the feedback that you need in, Matt. So I needed help.
I'm mainly going to leave it mostly to Dan and just kind of bounce questions off of him. Uh, I have less experience with playthroughs, so think of it as a learning experience for me, if anything. All right.
Yeah, so first hole is a long par 4 down the hill, split fairway. I'm guessing my driver's probably going to run into this little narrow area. And it looks like we got all the room in the world to the right, but that's going to lead to a longer shot. Kind of looks like the left side's got a little more slope to it, so I think I'm just going to play out to the right here.
Yeah,
I'll have
I
enough.
see the helpful
I'll have enough
slopes.
to get home.
Oh, I'm going to be right in the bunker.
But as you'd
Let's
expect
see.
off the first tee, you can see all the bunkers. They mesh together nicely, of course. Okay, so I do have a very uneven lie. It looks like maybe if you play a little further to the right, you get more of a level lie. All right, so I think I'm just gonna play for the back of the green here.
Kind of a forgiving punch bowl in the back. Oop.
Yeah, and plenty of room to run it in. Um, even though it's really long, it's really downhill. And we were a little bit into the wind, but it's still, still a hole where you can kind of make a comfy four if you hit the green.
Yeah, I went over the back, so it's pretty difficult from back here. Yeah, I think it was a fun start. Cool kind of downhill shot, and the green was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think the fairway, the slopes in the fairway were a little severe for how long a shot I needed there, but
Mm. Hmm.
that's a little nitpicky. Okay, so now we've got another downhill tee shot. So it looks like we're kind of playing down from the clubhouse down to this stream here. And yeah, it's looks kind of like if you want to hit driver, then you got to take on the bunker. And I'm on a very aggressive line. I think I just ran out of fairway. Or maybe it's kind of the narrow down, so if you want a full wedge, deal.
Let's see. Yeah, I think you can kind of blast it over the fairway bunkers a lot of the time, though,
Yep.
with the max length driver. Like, I'm just way down here.
Yeah, I think I play with a 285, and I think I have like the bonuses, so sometimes I can carry it 292.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm wondering if he was doing this because some people do the thing where the reason that pitching's harder, so you leave the pitch wide open and you pinch down like at 3 wood distance. But if you give me lots of room to hit driver, even if it means I get a pitch, I'm still gonna hit driver. I don't think pitching is that much harder to get it close.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I've kind of figured it out. I mean, we're both CC players, so
Mm-hmm.
this is the kind of course we would see. So yeah. All right.
Okay, so we got a dogleg right around a nest of bunkers. This is a kind of shortish par 5. Looks like it's uphill a decent amount, though. Okay, so I mean, I think this one is kind of. I mean, I'm not going to be able to reach the green with a 3 wood, but it's kind of like I might as well just go bombs away here. There's not really an incentive to lay up. Because if you lay up and miss the fairway, you know, then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I have my second shot from the bunkers over here.
I ended up I ended up hitting a cut into. Yeah, if you miss the fairway, then you got a dilemma on your hands.
Yeah, I couldn't quite make it all the way to this like extended apron. I guess I probably should have laid up.
Yeah, and the green is quite elevated. I'm guessing if you lay further back into the meat of the layup zone there, presumably you get a flatter lie.
Hmm.
Well, that was a pretty mediocre flop shot. And the green slopes hard back to front. Yeah, I guess the one thing I would comment on here is it looks like it's maybe a little hard to toughen here. But it looks like you want to play to the right there if you're not hitting the green, but I don't know if there's a really. You're kind of giving yourself a. The ball's going to be way above your feet with an uneven lie. So if you go for a flat lie, you're just going to have an awkward kind of blind pitch over the bunker. So yeah, not I'd say there isn't really an attractive layup on that hole. It's just kind of take out your 3 wood and bash it up the hill kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay, so the nice thing about the third hole there is it was kind of it gave us a break from the downhill tee shots. Now we're kind of downhill again. So I think we should be able to carry. Well, it's into the wind, so I don't know if I can carry the corner there.
I can barely carry it.
Then I'm guessing I can't. But yeah, second shot over the ravine. Um, yeah. So yeah, I'd say each of the first four tee shots is giving us a different look. Right, we've had a dog leg right around some bunkers, dog leg left around some bunkers over the ravine. The first hole had a sad centerline bunkering. The second hole was kind of a straightaway downhill tee shot with the landing area pinched in. Okay, we got a pretty small, yeah, smallish green, I would say, for a fairly long hole.
At least for this pin, it's kind of in its own little punch bowl and like thumbprint thing going on. So it's a pretty forgiving pin, but it looks like all the other pins would be really challenging.
Well, I managed to carry the bunker. I registered a fist pump. Oh yeah, hit it to 5 feet. I would do replays of my nice shots, but the HB's replay system is so completely effed up that I'm not even gonna bother. Yeah, one thing I've found I do is when I play test, I try and mix in some rounds with different golfers. Like, if you're actually playing around and not play testing in the designer, like, you could tee it up with, since now you have like a shortest driver, I'll do a few rounds with like, Tiger or Tony Finau and then you could
Hmm.
conversely, if you have a maxed out driver, you might want to play a round or two as I don't know Lydia Ko or somebody like that, um, just to get an idea of how does it play with somebody with a less overpowered driver.
Yeah, I don't have the statistics on how many CC players actually use like the max length driver either. But I assume at least in the lower ranks, a good chunk of them are using default lengths.
Right.
Uh,
Okay, so I didn't really comment on that tee shot. So this one's kind of level. Um, it looks like I mean, I'm guessing those bunkers on the right are kind of like visual, but I wonder if you got a little more going on the right side than you need, given that you have it's kind of like a gentle dog leg left around the stream, and the green is clearly set up to accept a shot from the left. So I feel like you could have probably left the right side a little more open.
yeah, I don't really see the point of trying to hit up to that tiny fairway strip above that central bunker. That's really a good opportunity.
Yeah, sure. There's the thing about the hazards, but also you got to consider, how steeply canted is the fairway where someone else is going to hit it that doesn't have your driver, right? It's not just how wide is the fairway. It's are they, what kind of shot are they going to have?
Mhm.
All right. So now we got an uphill par three back across the stream,
But this is a hard shot.
handsomely bunkered hillside. Oh yeah, we got the back right pin. So I think I'm just going to play this one kind of back middle. I'll basically play for kind of the. Probably play about like a one. I think I'll play this about like 196. And I'll
Oof.
fast it into the back bunker. No, I didn't make it that far up. But yeah, definitely if you bail left, you're gonna have a pretty hard first putt. But yeah, certainly you got plenty of back to front slope, so it's not like you can't hold that right section. Well, yeah, after that tee shot, I was just kind of ready to take a bogey.
Hmm.
Okay, so now we kind of have a shortish par four. I mean, I think it looks like the play here is to just, certainly downwind, is to just bash a driver over the corner.
Oh.
All right, we got a little pitch, ball above our feet. I'm kind of in between clubs here. Now we got to slow. Not going to have a very good look at birdie, I don't think. Yeah, so the greens don't have, very severe slopes, but there is still quite a bit of movement at the default speeds.
Yeah, at least when you get really close to the pins, they're pretty forgiving. And I feel like that proximity, like especially for CC players, when you're within 8 feet, how hard that putt is in that distance really can make a difference with how scoreable a course is.
What's up, Danny? How you doing? Okay, so we got a downhill par 3. The green's kind of around a little bend in the river here. I don't know, I feel like you could have cleared out some of those pine trees on the left here just so we can see a little more off the tee.
I'm just trying to think how I could play into those two trees in the fairway there and have it like stop the ball and then trickle onto the back green. Because there's that little strip of fairway back there. I'm wondering how usable it is.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm sure maybe it's like protecting like an ideal line in terms of playing a
Mm-hmm.
run-up shot. Um, but the other thing it does is like it's kind of shutting out the bailout area. So instead of like naturally with the creek on the left, I'm tempted to just kind of hedge out to the right, which I imagine is going to leave me with a downhill chip shot. But with the trees there, it just kind of forces me into playing assertively.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it's not something I would have put it out there, but maybe I could see it serving a purpose though.
Also feel like the main challenges that I've kind of seen for this course so far are the elevation changes. And at least from the stats for CC this year that I've been seeing, it seems a significant portion of CC players don't know how to deal with these
Uh-oh.
elevation calculations.
I just hit it into the pine trees.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh jeez.
So yeah, I mean over here I'm kind of screwed anyway, but now it's like yeah, I'm got a pine tree too. And I just decided to take a full swing with a 25-yard chip, and it actually kind of worked.
Kind of killed the chip in the air a little bit.
Yeah, I know, it definitely worked out. Okay, so we've got kind of the longest par four. Um, so yeah, going right looks like it's probably going to give us the better angle into the pin. It's also a bit narrower. But, you know, it's not ridiculously narrow.
If anything, this is by far the widest like landing area yet.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
the,
scaling
the
has
fairway kind of
gone
run
up a bit.
the fairway kind of runs off a little bit at the right. I would have liked, you know, maybe make it a little more level.
At least for this pin, I actually feel like aiming up the left side is the better angle.
Yeah, may well be. It's just it's the question of lengthening or shortening the hole.
Mm-hmm. Uh, Nao's asking about the bunkers on the left. At least from my shot, and I have the max length driver, they didn't really seem to be in play.
Yeah,
They're more
that's
visual.
yeah, it's definitely a visual.
Also, they're just so far left that you'd have to really miss-hit it to even miss the fairway on the left. And then you wouldn't have the distance to reach them, really, I don't think.
Right. But yeah, I'd say in my last couple of courses, I don't do it too much on the outsides of dog legs and like off in the distance, but I've definitely come to appreciate or I've embraced a bit like the idea of kind of a visual bunker. I found I've been
Mm-hmm.
using them more like kind of like in the foreground, um, to kind of create like an intimidation, but it's that you know that makes it look harder than it actually plays.
Okay. All right.
Or just
With the
you know just to make it look
wind.
pretty.
Yeah, exactly. The wind, I can actually blast it over this bunker, I think.
Okay. So it looks like the fairway kind of tumbles downwards to the right, I'm guessing. 362. Okay. So yeah, you know, this is a pretty simple design, but if you take on those bunkers on the right with a long driver, you can get a lot of extra yardage. You can probably have like a short iron in.
Yeah, I ended up bailing out to the left, and it put the water a lot more in play on the second shot.
So the green slopes pretty hard left to right. I'm curious how that front pin plays. I guess it's more like a nudge, a ridge than a tier, so you can, presumably if you fly it onto the front, it will stop.
Yeah. I have to say, there's a bit of a kind of bowl over there, a kind of collection in the green. At least it looks a little weird to my eye that there's everything kind of sloping to a point in the green, but otherwise the rest of it makes sense.
Alright, so now we got a short little par 3, green hard up against the water.
I believe this is the template hole is
Really?
short. Yeah.
Does it have a thumbprint?
It kind of does. I don't know. You'd have to look at it more. To me, it's more like it has a kind of consistent back slope. Oh God, that's an impossible chip.
Yeah, I mean, because it depends on how rigorous you are with your definition of a short. You know,
Hmm.
it's like a short hole on a Rainer course has a green with generally with it's fairly large and with a thumbprint. So it's not just like you can't just like make a short par 3 with treble all around the green and automatically say, yeah, I designed a short template. Nothing wrong with designing holes like that. But yeah, I mean, I could yammer on about templates for a while in terms of what exactly is a template, because anyway, that's a discussion for another stream.
Yeah.
All right, so now we kind of got a level par 5 doglegging around the lake. All right, I think I should be fine because I'm into the wind, so I should be fine aiming at that right bunker.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's on an angle, so you got to think carefully about the line you're going to take. I played fairly safely, and so now I've got a pretty long second. This is actually a pretty scary second shot. Um, to the point where like you definitely would consider laying up. I'm just gonna play up the left side with a 3-wood and just try and take the water out of play. Now, it looks like I ran out of fairway because that's a pretty minuscule landing area there.
Hmm. Yeah, there's not too much layup options on this one.
Well, yeah, it's basically you can go for it um, and take your chances, or you can lay a little further back where you've got room.
This is definitely the hardest pin though on this hole.
Yep. Now I gotta slow. All right, this is
Drivable 4.
yeah, and this one again, it kind of feels like I'm curious. Maybe we'll see. Maybe those if the green, it looks like the green's severely back to front, so it's just kind of like if you go long, you're totally screwed.
Yeah. There's quite a big backstop though, so
Yeah, it's into the wind a little bit, but I think my driver's
mhm.
probably too much.
Yeah. The
Oh, I got a
this kind of
perfect. I was
this kind
trying
of
to hit.
central bunker looks a bit strange to my eye, but the rest of it looks good.
I was trying to hit like a spinny fade up into the wind, like with a slow down swing, and I got a perfect. So I basically hit a double cross. I should have just bashed a 3-wood up short of the green and chipped it on.
I just hit the short bunker on the right. Leaves a pretty easy splash on.
Let's see if this stays on the green. Oh, it did. Yeah, I suppose that. Yeah, the back bunkers do look pretty bad as far as a miss. So at least it's not just kind of mindlessly bash away at the green because you'll have a reasonably easy up and down if you miss.
At least for lengthening of the hole, this hole actually would make it a little bit harder for a max length driver to actually hit the green.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of weird game thing where this yardage is harder for the
Yeah.
people who
Well,
have the better club.
I know, certainly I feel like towards the end of of 2K21, certainly like when I was judging World Cup, it felt like everyone was designing like a 280-yard par 4
Hmm.
just to like mess with people and like
Yes.
goad you into hitting a partial driver, and I don't know, it feels a little it kind of wore on me a little bit if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it got a little tiresome. At least on that one, I don't feel like it might be more of a symptom of the game too. I don't think anyone's ever gonna lay up on that hole. I think
Right,
everyone's gonna
it's more
try.
like do you want to try and hit a driver? I mean, I feel like you do have options there, right? You can either hit a
Hmm.
driver and try and like kind of well, hit that one pretty good. You can hit a
Hmm.
driver, really, feather one up there. You can hit a 3-wood short of the green, or if you've got a really souped up 3-wood, you can kind of just go for it, I guess. And or you can, lay back with like a long iron or something.
Yeah. I do want
Because
to comment that, yeah, so far on these par threes, a lot of the green shapes have been similar. That one again had kind of a thumbprinty kind of impression as its main like style. So I guess I'm beginning to notice a kind of repetition of green shapes and green like
well, yeah, he
slopes.
did have a couple of the par 3 ones were kind of like narrow and angled.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, this one it's downhill, but not that downhill. So it looks like I can just play up to the right of the bunkers here.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just kind of driver, short iron. I mean, we're a little downwind. So it looks like we kind of got like a front right bowl, front middle bowl, and then like a couple. They aren't really distinct shelves, but the back of the green does kind of have a shelf.
Hmm.
But yeah, that one I didn't really. That hole I didn't really have to think too much about where I was gonna go. It was basically just driver down the right, and then I felt like I could I didn't feel like I was taking on much risk in terms of going for that pin, but that one was pretty. That was kind of the easy pin.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got like a moderately downhill par three across
This is
across the
the
hole.
hardest pin. This is a very perched pin.
Okay. Did I stay on top? I did. Yeah, at least there's a reasonable amount of room. God, I'm so bad at putting. All right, now we got an uphill hole, short par four.
Unless it's really downwind, I don't think it's drivable even with the
No,
longest
no.
length.
This is kind of like a what you might call a drive and pitch.
Hmm.
Although I don't really see a reason to drive here.
Yeah, it
This
kind of
hole,
narrows and it cambers off the
yeah,
further up the fairway you get on the left.
it looks like it's definitely just kind of aim a 3-wood sort of at the right center of the fairway. It looks like the right side is maybe a little flatter, so
Yep, just landed there. It is flatter.
now I might run out of room. No, I didn't. Oh, it's kind of straight uphill. At least where I landed it. I do have a blind pitch though, or semi-blind. I can see the top of the flag. Yeah, so the green's got like a little buried elephant in it that you just put off and made it. Nice.
It was off the green if that didn't hit the
Yeah.
hole. Yeah, I would say that sloping is pretty harsh, especially when you're coming in from such a short club. Generally, all that's going to do is leave you one of those weird short chips. It's not going to kick you that far.
Okay, so we got a par five. It looks like if you kind of bail right, the ball's going to be way above your feet. Although the green looks like it's kind of accepting of a hook, so
Are those
and
bunkers on the left really in play for you at all?
well, it's up. It looks like it's the hole's more or less level. It's into the wind, so I think I probably if I get above 100%, I could probably make the carry, but maybe
Hmm.
not.
I could kind of blast it over them.
I got a fast. We'll see if it carries. Yeah, I think we just... no, we didn't make it. I'm in the rough on the other side of the bunker.
Okay.
Alright, so let's see how this layup play works. I mean, it looks like the green is kind of perpendicular to the line of play. So it looks like if I just kind of chop one down there about 160,
Hmm.
then I think I'm kind of fine.
At least looking at the second shot for me coming into here, it looks like the play kind of is to aim off to the right a bit and let it trickle on. But it's kind of doing this thing where there's a shelf and then there's the lower shelf in the back left. And it looks really, really hard to actually stop it on this. Let's see if I can. Nope, too far.
Yeah, I wonder if to what extent you can, you know, actually nudge it kind of down. Can you, like, in terms of running it on there and then it looks like it's probably doable.
Hmm. And this is under 550. This was the other requirement. This was the par five under 550. So I was hitting like a 5 iron in. So I guess maybe there's a bit more stopping power, but I'd have to test that shot a couple more times to know. At least for that pin, that's once again the toughest pin on that hole.
So yeah, unsurprisingly, Matt makes a comfy CC course. Uh,
Yeah,
I didn't have any trouble getting it around there. I didn't. I mean, I think my tempo was pretty decent. Um,
yeah.
but like
From a
I didn't make any crazy putts or anything, and I shot a pretty easy 6 under. So,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, from a difficulty, it nailed the CC. It still has some challenges. There's a lot of elevation, and there's quite a few. I'd say the par threes are probably the toughest playing holes overall in the course.
Yeah, yeah. The par threes were fairly challenging. And yeah, I think there were a couple holes where the greens were kind of a little bit perpendicular to the line of play, kind of like 18 there, and there were a couple other holes there where it was where yeah, again, I didn't really have to think too much about the line I was taking. Um, but there are ways to inject interest other than angles. Like it's not all angles aren't like necessarily the be all end all. So don't feel like
Yeah.
you have to design every hole that way, right? It's more like
Hmm.
I like to think of it more, and I felt like like one of the courses that made me think about this. Certainly, like all of Dario Logan's courses and
Yeah.
um, Petro's course from World Cup last year, where it's not really so much where it's all about just angles and strategy on every hole or width and angles, but it's you should like think about what question am I asking with this tee shot or this hole or whatever, and like reward a player who thinks basically.
Yeah. It's critique wise too. I think the only thing I kind of noticed was some repetitive green shapes and slopes, and I do agree at times the green's got a bit snaky. I guess would be my word for it. They're thin and like perpendicular to the line of play, but otherwise there's good variety of shots I was hitting. I hit a lot of short and longer clubs.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting, very interesting plot,
Hmm.
where you interact with the river, in different ways, and it never really felt like you approached it awkwardly. Sometimes like holes that, when you try and incorporate like a river or something or a ravine or something in multiple times, like there's like one or two holes where you kind of come at it awkwardly and it makes for kind of a hole that doesn't play that great, but it kind of felt natural every time that we saw that. So I think in terms
Yeah.
of that required element, I think that was one of them. The kind of using one feature on multiple holes. I felt like that was really well done.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to play some more to see how it's incorporated, but I did like how the river was incorporated into the course.
Yeah. All right. So I think that'll do it. Um, Q, are you going to be playing some more on your channel this evening, or?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna stream a couple more playthroughs real quick, but yeah, uh, just wanted to do this one first to kind of be my intro into the CC. So I'm
All
playing all
right.
these blind though. So
All right, then head on over to Q's channel to for a few more playthroughs. That'll be it for me from me tonight, though. So thanks, guys, for watching, and thanks to Q for joining me this evening. This was fun.
yeah, it was very nice.
All right.